to me once, they really love to come to conventions because this is the only place you can be waiting for an elevator and get into an argument about the history of typography.
And that's probably for me still.
But one of the reports of your press conference yesterday, discovering a bunch of something that you hope that the work is a tendency pedestal communication is possible from there. The online writing is process of clambering down from the pedestal.
Publicity. I might have been over for a couple of years, and it wasn't places where everybody was at that point. And much more black lace and brocade and velvet, and spoken perfectly. One of the things about being, I'm working every since it must paid for by me putting down words. And somebody giving me money in exchange for them. That's how I fed myself. And that there is something about China. And after that, I think I want to write a big, I haven't written a doorstop of a book since American Gods. It's been a while since I've written one of those books that you could injure people with. And there's stuff in the Graveyard book, that even while I was writing it, I was going, well, this isn't actually true, but this is what people are telling Bud. But actually, it's much more interesting and complicated than that, but that's a different kind of book. And I think there's a book that I'd like to write, which would be... The backstory. It's not even backstory, it would have some of the backstory in it, but it would be to the Graveyard book what Lord of the Rings was to The Hobbit. I don't think I'm going to say any more about it than that. I haven't written it yet, but I think that would be the next big fiction thing, and so graphic novels would have to wait until that was done, which might be a little while. Yes.
What was the first book that kept you awake all night?
The first book that kept me awake all night. Actually, the first book that kept me awake all night.
She said reading.
Reading, yes. Obviously, I could have been sexually importuned by a book. The first book that ever kept me up for a whole night reading and finishing it as, interestingly enough, was Gone with the Wind. And the reason for that was my English teacher, Mr. Hayes.
How old were you at the time?
I was about 11, maybe 10. Offered me 50 pence if I read Gone with the Wind. And while I quite enjoyed it, it was definitely not something that I was doing for pleasure.
And 50 pence was what, 4 Moorcock novels?
And 50 pence was, 4 books at that point. So I just buckled down to it and did not do anything else. And thought sleeping when I could march in and say, yes, I have now read Gone with the Wind would be very foolish. So that the first book I ever stayed up the whole night reading was Gone with the Wind.
Okay, 2 more.
2 more. Oh, yes, over there. No, yeah. Did I enjoy working with Terry Pratchett on Good Omens? You have to get the very, very short version of this, because I can do Good Omens, I can do the hour-long version, the 15-minute version. Yes, we enjoyed it very, very, very much. Honestly, it was probably the most fun I've ever had writing a book, because we were writing it to make the other one laugh. And that was so much fun, especially when... And this was pre-email. It was just pre-email. CompuServe hadn't quite happened. We were mailing floppy disks back and forward to each other. But the way that we would actually let the other one know what we had written that night was we would ring them up and read it to them. So he would, every day, I would get Terry reading me what he'd written earlier that morning. And every day I would read him what I'd written much, much, much earlier that morning. And it was great. And would I do it again? Yes, but I don't think we're in a universe in which it's going to happen, I'm afraid. Yes?
When you finish speaking, is it okay if you take pictures of it?
It's absolutely okay if you take pictures of me when I finish speaking. Please don't leap on me with things to sign, because I really do want to get to Charlie's Wake.
And thank
So-
you all very much.
Thank you all.